Good morning, agents, and welcome to another daily episode of Targeted Loot today for Tuesday, December 1st. In this series, we cover a lot from the Targeted Loot map, DZ exclusives, highlights for the weekly vendors, build and farming suggestions, and a lot more. My name's Shadow Gaming, and if you enjoyed this video, consider pressing the subscribe and like buttons below, and remember to comment below if you have any questions. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get this video started. Alright guys, so starting off with the Dark Zones and vendor reset highlights. Since the vendors reset today anyway, there isn't a whole lot I'd really recommend picking up. There's some pretty good stuff I'll put in the bottom left overlay, but nothing that really terrific. Otherwise, for the Dark Zone West targeted loot, there's Golon gear, there's no Dark Zone exclusives. Some people kind of get the Hunter's Killer like chest piece with the Perfect Intimidate mixed up. You have to kill all the hunters in the open world NYC area before you can even get that chest piece, and you can't farm for it. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, in DZ South, there is Mask. So the only thing you can farm for that's a DZ exclusive would be the Hollow Man Mask. That's going to give you, I think, 10% damage to health, if not 8%. I think it's 10% though. And it's pretty good in raids and legendaries, mostly raids against like Black Tusk. And then lastly, you got Wyvernware DZ East. So that's the Claws Out holster. That would be the DZ exclusive you can farm for. It gives you 500% melee damage and 10% pistol damage. So overall, that's worth it for any shield build users. Alright guys, so starting off with the north side highlights, I'll do the invaded missions real quick since they just reset. That's Camp White Oak, and then Bank HQ, DCD HQ, and then of course Roosevelt Island and Tidal Basin Stronghold over here. Otherwise, for the targeted loot, you got Hana U at Camp White Oak, so that's the Force Multiplier backpack with Perfect Combined Arms. It's an additional 30% skill damage every 3 seconds you land a shot, so I always wear this in any skill damage build. Otherwise, you got Badger Tough at Manning National Zoo, so the 0S chest piece with Perfect Unbreakable is really good for DPS hybrid builds. I'll put an example video in the top right card. Really good, because every 55 seconds that your armor breaks, it just restores 100% of it. Otherwise, Kinley College is closed, and the summit you pick your own targeted loot, so now let's go check out what we got on the west side. Alright guys, so starting off with the west side, gear sets first like usual. We got Strikers at Federal Emergency Bunker. That's always worth it, just 3 pieces for the additional rate of fire and weapon handling. Otherwise, I really don't recommend it. There's no really power that you gain from the extra 4 pieces, so I really never recommend wearing more than 3 pieces. Next up, we got Eclipse Protocol at West End, so I always recommend 4 pieces with the Imperial Dynasty holster or the Vile Mask with 1 piece of Golon gear. That's going to be for status effects, skill damage builds, and I'll put an example as well in the top right for you guys. Next up, we got Hardwired at Constitutional Hall, so 3 pieces of Hardwired with 2 pieces of Hana U and then 1 piece Wyvernware is going to be the best way to run an Assault Turret and Striker Drone build until TU12 drops. And I always roll Kinetic Momentum on the chest piece, and I wear the Force Multiplier backpack with Perfect Combined Arms as the backpack, which is a Hana U brand type. Next up, we got Future Initiative at Lincoln Memorial. Once again, really fast mission to run. 3 bosses at the end. You can clear it in less than 9 minutes. It's a healer set build, but the chest and backpack are raid exclusive. You can only get them with the Iron Horse raid. So in lieu of that, I would just put a chest piece with Empathetic Resolve on it, probably Alp Summit, as well as a backpack with Safeguard if you're going to run without the chest and backpack from Future Initiative. And the last one we got is Tip of the Spirit Tidal Basin Stronghold. So this one just increases spec weapon damage, and it's really good, you know, like for the crossbow or the sharpshooter specializations. But overall, I never use it, so I'd never recommend it. Regular targeted loot, we got shotguns at the Pentagon. So of course, you can always get the 3 best shotguns in the game, right? So that's the Mop with 10% armor on kill, the Custom M870, and the Marine Super 90. I always run close and personal on those. Otherwise, you can get the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun with the Sandman talent, where you can just one-hit kill any NPC that's a red or purple bar. Next up, we got Walker Harrison Co. at DARPA Research Labs. This is where I'd farm for the Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter. I really would never run a headshot damage build without that chest piece, and you want it to roll with weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage. Crit hit chance and crit hit damage don't really matter in a headshot damage build. Next up, we got Douglas and Harding at Roosevelt Island. So this is where you get the Punch Drunk Mask with 20% headshot damage baked into it, and it goes really well in an all high-end build for a headshot damage build, instead of running like 3 pieces of aces and eights with your Aralda holding and your Chain Killer chest piece. We also got chest pieces at Foggy Bottom. There's 2 exotic chest pieces, the Tardigrade and then of course the Ridgeway's Pride. But with the Ridgeway's Pride, you need to complete the project and first get it from Summit Floor 100 after you get all 5 exotic components. It's a pretty long project to run, but if you have someone in your group that already has completed it, like myself, then, they would be able to drop it for you. Just always keep in mind to let people know what you're farming for. If you're matchmaking, clan mates, whatever, let them know what you're farming for and what they're farming for so you guys can help each other out. Otherwise, the only other thing I'd recommend today on the west side would be gloves at, the White House area. You can get the BTSU gloves. Those are really going to be good in TU12 with all the, meta skill builds that are going to be going on. Otherwise, you can get the contractor's gloves with 8% damage to armor. Those are definitely worth it if you're running any LMG build. And you can stack damage to armor as well with those because they come with 8% damage to armor. So you can stack those with 2 pieces of Walker Harrison Co. and more damage to armor on your assault rifle or your Lady Death SMG. Alright guys, so starting off with the east side, we got Aces and Eights at Space Administration HQ. That's a headshot damage gear set, so you want to mix weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage, just like you would roll the Chain Killer chest piece, and mix it with 3 pieces of Aces and Eights, and 2 pieces of Geraldo Holding with that Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter on it. That's a really great headshot damage build. Next up, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at East Mall. So my example video will be in the top right card of a really good build you can put together with this. So 4 pieces with the Grupo Sombro gloves and then Coyote's mask with 2 LMGs, the Pestilence, and any other LMG you want to use. It's great for crowd control and DPS, solo and in group. We got Ongoing Directive at American History Museum. That's a bleed damage build. So you want to run 4 pieces with the Ridgeway's Pride and then a backpack with Wicked on it, or just run the Eclipse Protocol backpack, but that's supposedly getting fixed in TU12, and I'll link the patch notes below as well for that statement. We got Foundry Bulwark at Judiciary Square today, so remember, just like Future Initiative, the chest and backpack are raid exclusive to the Iron Horse raid. You can make a DPS hybrid out of this build, but I haven't yet, so I don't really want to suggest it right now. But 4 pieces rolled with all weapon damage would be pretty interesting to see. So comment below if you've done that before, and I'll let you know when I get around to doing that. Next up, we got Hunter's Fury at Downtown East. This is an SMG and shotgun build, and I'll put my favorite build I've ever really had in TU11 in the top right card right now, and that's a Hunter's Fury 4-piece with armor cores, the death grips, and really you can mix all sorts of things. A Sokolov chest with Intimidate or Obliterate. Otherwise, there's just all sorts of ways to mix and match this. For regular targeted loot, we got knee pads at Grand Washington Hotel. So there's 2 exotic knee pads you can get. That's the Sawyer's knee pads and Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads. Ninja Bike's going to be for DPS builds, Sawyer for more like tank builds, and then of course Fox's Prayer with 8% damage to targets out of cover. That's highly worth farming for, and I didn't see Overlord anywhere here today, so this is where you would want to farm for it today. You can also refarm the Memento Backpack at District Union Arena today. I always recommend farming the brand, not the type, so say you want a Bellstone Armory backpack, definitely farm Jefferson Trade Center today instead of backpacks. It's going to yield better results for you. And speaking of Bellstone Armory, if you want the everyday carrier with perfectly efficient chest piece, you can get that today at Jefferson Trade Center. And remember, the boss at the end of Jefferson Trade Center can drop the Coyote's mask, so keep that in mind if you want to farm for that as well. We got Marksman Rifles at Viewpoint Museum. The 2 best Marksman Rifles you can get is the Mantis and Ekim's Longstick with Perfect Ranger. The Mantis is an exotic that you can pick up that you can just farm for, and then Ekim's Longstick and the White Death are 2 Marksman Rifles that are named that you can just straight up farm for. We do have Petrov at Capitol Building for those contractors gloves if you want to farm for those. I would highly recommend that over just farming gloves targeted loot. And the last few we have is Sokolov Concern at Southwest, so chest piece talents I'd run Intimidate or Obliterate on it for DPS builds, and then for your backpack talents I always run Adrenaline Rush or Vigilance on the backpack. And we got rifles at Air and Space Museum. So what you want to get here is like Merciless and of course the Diamondback. Both of those are pretty good exotics. But really what I would farm for is a named rifle like the Surge with Perfect Spike and then the Baker's Dozen with Perfect Lucky Shot. Both of those are probably more worth it to farm for. But then again, the Merciless is pretty fun with 3-piece strikers. And then of course the best rifle damage talents you can do is Boomerang, Ranger, and Rifleman. As much as a lot of people like Baker's Dozen with Perfect Lucky Shot, I prefer the damage over all the extra ammo. And then light machine guns at Jefferson Plaza. So the Bullet King and the Pestilence are 2 exotic LMGs you can farm for. Otherwise, there's some named LMGs you can farm for. My favorites would be the Carnage with Perfect Sadist, and then probably the New Reliable with Perfectly Optimized. Alright, let's go check out what we got in New York City now. Alright guys, so lastly, New York City target loot highlights. We got True Patriot at Stranded Tanker. So I always run 4 pieces of this with a Sokolov chest and the Memento backpack. I'll put that build in the top right card. That's really worth farming for because you can do this solo and in groups. It's great for speed running the Manning National Zoo in under 18 minutes. Otherwise, that's really the only gear set here. We got submachine guns at 2 bridges today, so this is the perfect day to farm for that Lady Death. You can also get the Chatterbox and the Backfire SMGs as well. Those are the 3 exotic SMGs. But the Lady Death, its main source is the open world NYC bosses. And I'll put a link to that image below of the NYC bosses you can farm for here. And it's just a lot easier to farm when you have that map by you. The Dark Winter and the Apartment are DZ exclusives. You cannot farm for them outside of the Dark Zone, so keep that in mind. And when SMGs are targeted loot in the Dark Zone, I'll let you guys know. The only real named SMG that I'd recommend picking up would be the Grudge and the Safety Distance, the Perfect Outsider. There's one more, I think the Swap Chain, but I've never really used it. I don't think it's worth farming for. You got assault rifles at Pathway Park, so you can get the Chameleon with Adaptive Instincts. That True Patriot build I just mentioned, swap out the Socolo chest piece with a Fenris with Intimidate on it, and it runs just as good, but I think the SMGs are a little bit stronger. Otherwise, for named assault rifles, they got the Mechanical Animal of Future Perfection. You got the Maniac named Military AKM. There's several of them that you can pick up. The Burnout named FAMAS. But otherwise, the best weapon architects for the assault rifle would be the FAMAS, the Military AKM, the Police M4, and the Carbine 7. You got holsters at the Tomb, so there's 2 holsters you can farm for here. That's going to be the Dodge City holster and the Imperial Dynasty holster. Imperial Dynasty is for skill damage and status effects, and then the Dodge City holster would be for like pistol DPS builds. Otherwise, you can get the Forge holster. That gives you 50% shield health, and you can also pick that up at a vendor in the DC as well this week. Alright agents, well that was the targeted loot for today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed my content. If you'd like to become a member for support and exclusive perks, you can click the join button below, and if you'd like to grab some Shadow Gaming merchandise as well, there's a link in the pinned comment and video description below with promo codes and whatnot. You can support me on Alt Tech, there's links to that as well in the video description, but ultimately if you're still watching this video right now to the end, thank you so much and I appreciate you watching. Take care, agents, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Agent Shadow signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care, agents.